Hi, this is a quick in-the-middle video on radioactive decay and half-life. Radioactive elements are still around after 15 billion years. Why? Well, because it takes a really long time for some of them to decay. Some of them take a very short period of time, so they're not around, but a lot of radioactive material will take a very, very long time to decay. Something called half-life. The half-life of an isotope is defined as the time it takes for exactly 1/2 of a radioisotope's nuclei to decay. That's why it's called half-life. There's 3 different ways that you may be asked a half-life question, and I'm going to do my best to work on showing you guys how to do this on my little notepad here. So let's see. There we go. So thallium-208, that's just a radioactive isotope. Thallium-208 has a half-life of 3.053 minutes. How long will it take for 120 grams to decay to 7.5 grams? Well, that sounds like a whole lot of information, but I'm telling you, you just kind of got to break it down and see what it is that you want to try to calculate, and what do you have? You have some tools, and one of the best tools that you have is the fact that everything's divided by 2. It's half-life, so it's exactly divided by 2. All right, so half-life of this thallium isotope is 3.053 minutes. So that's an important piece of information. That means that every 3.053 minutes, half of the thallium decays. Okay? Exactly 3.053 minutes, half of the thallium isotopes decay. Okay? How long will it take for 120 grams to go to 7.5 grams? Well, there's a couple more pieces of information. 120 grams, I start with 120, I go to 750. Okay, how long is that going to take? So let's say in this case we have 120 grams and it's going to decay exactly in half till it gets to 7.50 grams. So divide by 2 is 60. Okay, that's 1 half-life. Divide that by 2 is 30. 2 half-lives. Divide that by 2, 15 grams. 3 half-lives. Divide that by 2, I have my 7.50 grams. How many times did it decay? It decayed 4 times. Okay, I know that 1 half-life is equal to 3.053 minutes. How many half-lives was that? How many times did it decay? It decayed 4 times. So 3.053 times 4 of the half-lives will give me the amount of time that it takes. So I'm going to use my calculator real quick. 3.053 times 4. 3.053 times 4 gives me 12.21 minutes. Okay, that's one way you may be asked a half-life question. You just really have to analyze a question and see what you have, what you can work with, what you're trying to find. Okay, and keep in mind that half-life is beautiful because it means that stuff is going to decay in half. You can divide it by 2 as many times as you need to get to your final amount. So let's go to the next slide. No, we don't want to keep that. Okay, gold 198, it's an isotope, has a half-life of 2.7 days. There's some information that we will probably need at some point. Oh, wrong way. Thanks for being patient, guys. Y'all are so patient with me. 2.7 days. Okay, half-life is 2.7 days. That means every 2.7 days, this stuff divides in half, or decays by half. How much of a 96 gram sample of gold will be left after 8.1 days? Well, now we have some different information. We have another time period. Okay, gold has that half-life of 2.7 days. Well, this stuff decays for 8.1 days total. So we need to figure out how many half-lives that is. How many times does this 96 grams decay? So 8.1 days divided by the half-life, which is 2.7 days. Here, I'll label days and days. Okay, that is going to tell me how many times it decays. Okay, it decays every 2.7 days, and the total amount of time that we have is 8.1 days. So 8.1 divided by 3, you can, or I'm sorry, 2.7. 2.7 is 3. So this thing is going to decay 3 times. It has 3 half-lives. That's 3 half-lives. So what we want to know is how much of that 96-gram sample is left after 3 half-lives. So how do you think we would figure that out? We start out with 96 grams. What do you think we need to do? We need to divide 96 grams by 2 3 times. Why are we dividing it by 2? Because it's half. We're dividing it in half by 2. Okay, 96 divided by 2, 48 grams. Okay, that's 1 half-life. Divide that in half, 24 grams. 2 half-lives. Divide that by 2, 12 grams. That's 3 half-lives. That's the amount that we decayed. That's how many half-lives we had to decay, right? 2.7 days, 8.1 days is the total. Okay, so every 2.7 days, see, there's what's left after 2.7 days. Another 2.7 days. And then finally, the total of 8.1 days, we're left with 12 grams. So how much will be left after 8.1 days? 12 grams. There we go. All right, 100 grams of carbon. Oh, sorry, 100 grams of carbon-14 decays until only 25 grams of carbon is left after 11,460 years. What is the half-life of carbon-14? Well, we've got some information. Let's see. It says that we have 100 grams. We start with 100 grams, and it decays until we have 25 grams left. Okay, we need to figure out how many times that decays. That's going to be the number of half-lives. It says that the total amount of time says that it decays to 25 grams after 11,460 years. So I want to know how much is 1 half-life. Okay, that's the total amount of time this thing decays. It goes from 100 grams to 25 grams. We'll see how many times it takes, how many times it decays in half to get to 25 grams. So 100 divided by 2 is 50. There's 1 half-life. Divide that in half. There's our 25 grams. How many times did it have to decay? It had to decay 2 times. Okay, so that means that, let's see, what's the half-life? Well, if the total amount of time that it took is 11,460 years, so 11,460 years is the total amount of time. If I decay it twice, it's 2 half-lives, 1 and 2. If I decay it twice, how much is 1 half-life? So 11,460 divided by 2, 5,730 years. That's the amount in 1 half-life. So what did we do here? We had 100 grams, and we decayed it till we got to 25 grams. Okay, it decayed twice in order to get to 25 grams. It divided it exactly in half 2 times, 2 half-lives. Okay, it took 2 half-lives to decay to 25 grams. The total amount of time that those 2 half-lives took was 11,460 years. So I wanted to know how much is 1 half-life. So I divide that by the number of half-lives. 11,460 divided by the 2 half-lives that it took to decay, and I got 5,730 years is 1 half-life. Now, I know that this stuff is hard. I get it. The half-lives are confusing, and you're going to learn in Algebra 2 another way to do it mathematically. This is just one way to do it. It's a simple way to do it because we're kind of just getting started. So this is a simple way to do it. I wouldn't worry too terribly much about it, but rewind and watch it over again if you need to see it again. All right, do a couple of the half-life problems. If you have questions about them, please let us know. We're more than happy to help you with those. Okay, good luck.